Hey, what's going on, everybody? Don Martino here from Extract Media. Today we are talking about the Bad Batch episodes 7 and 8. I paired these together because both episodes aired on the same day, so that was actually kind of exciting. I'm kind of happy we can hopefully get this over with, especially with how this season has been going so far. But these two episodes, I'm happy to say, are such a massive improvement on what we've been getting these last few weeks, and I was really enjoying both of these episodes for two different reasons, honestly, and I definitely still have some issues which we'll get into here a little bit. The 7th episode in the series is called The Clone Conspiracy. This is directed by Brad Rao and Nathaniel Villanueva. This involves some really familiar players. We have Phil Lamar coming back to voice Bail Organa, which I love Bail Organa as a character, and the way that he was utilized here was really cool. I mean, this really is about a clone conspiracy, so there's a lot of political things happening in the Senate, which I thought was really enjoyable. We also do have Jennifer Hale doing a couple voices here, but one that's at the forefront was definitely Senator Tucci that she was doing, which was a brand new character that really is kind of the conduit for how this conspiracy sort of gets out there in a way. But we also have Captain Rex back, which is going to get a lot of people excited. This clone Slip, that's also voiced by D. Bradley Baker, along with Captain Rex, kind of comes out with this whole sort of conspiracy, but not really. We know from the first season of the Bad Batch that Rampart was really the one who blew up Tapoka City, and I like Rampart. I actually think Nasir Dalal is doing really great voice work with this character, making him very menacing throughout this whole thing. And while I thought this episode was a much more compelling story than what we'd had the last few weeks, my bigger issue with it was that the Bad Batch weren't involved in it at all, and I was really scared it was gonna fall into this problem that Star Wars seems to have, where some of their best episodes don't focus on the main crux of the story. We saw this with the Book of Boba Fett, how the Mandalorian episodes were the best ones, or the one with the Mandalorian, the one that Bryce Dallas Howard directed, didn't have Boba Fett in it at all, still ended up tying back into the overall story, but mainly focused on Mando, was really the best episode of the series in my opinion. And I don't like that Star Wars constantly falls into this issue, and that was one of the issues that was being played in the 7th episode. But overall, it is just really playing into the stuff that was set up, though, a little bit, in terms of we know what happened at Tapoka City, trying to bring that to the forefront in this political manner, which I like the politics. Just wish that the Bad Batch could have actually been involved in this episode, and that was my main issue. But it was cool to see the stuff going on with the Senate, because it did start to play a little bit more like an Andor episode than anything else. I think Andor is the best Star Wars that Disney's ever done, so I really like seeing a little bit of that incorporated here into the Bad Batch. That tone, that style, and I thought that Brad Rao and Nathaniel Villanueva together like really captured that tone that I like. The 8th episode luckily has a lot of the Bad Batch in it, or all of them really, and it's called Truth and Consequence, and it plays right off of what the 7th episode had set up, and this one's directed by Brad Rao and Stuart Lee. And basically, I mean, Rampart really gets screwed in this episode. I mean, they end up, using the Bad Batch to help with this conspiracy. Rex and Senator Tucci actually are the ones that really end up kind of recruiting them and bringing them in to help out with this and get this shown at the forefront in the Senate meeting, which is like so compelling and actually had really high stakes, because you didn't know if they were going to get the message there in time or the evidence there in time to be able to show this proof and get it out to the world that Rampart is really the one responsible for what happened at Tapoka City. And I thoroughly enjoyed what this did for the overall lore of Star Wars. It pushed a lot of things forward in that sense as well, because then they do get the message out there, right? And everybody sees the video footage of Rampart's ships blowing up Tapoka City, and just like that, there goes the cloning facilities at Camino, and then Rampart gets his consequences. But then we see the origin of stormtroopers when Palpatine comes out, who is, by the way, voiced by Ian McDiarmid in this episode, the original. By golly, they just wrote this moment for Palpatine so well. He was so menacing on the screen. It played so amazingly. I loved seeing it so much, and McDiarmid just killed it in this moment. He really did. I loved hearing his voice back. You just knew. I didn't even have to look it up. It was the original voice. I mean, obviously I did for confirmation before I did this, but I knew it was the original voice. I knew it wasn't. I think Sam Witwer's done it, who does it well, but you can just tell the difference when it's actually Ian McDiarmid doing the voice. And the Bad Batch really kind of screwed up, ended up having consequences, so to speak, for themselves over this. And it was so like, oh my God, that's how stormtroopers kind of came to the forefront, because Palpatine was telling everybody that clones were no longer going to be an issue. And that's how he smoothly transitioned, so to speak, into stormtroopers. I thought this was so compelling in this episode. One of the things I really like, though, the reason that I think that this is actually my favorite Bad Batch episode to date is because of the heart that kind of plays here at the end. We find out that Echo just ends up going with Rex, and he knows that he almost has to defend against stormtroopers, seeing as it's partially his fault. And it's really the whole Bad Batch's fault. In my mind, I was like, shouldn't the whole Bad Batch stick around just to defend people from stormtroopers? Because things are about to get a whole lot more threatening and worse. But it was really emotional, this sort of goodbye between Echo and Omega. It actually got me choked up. It was really well done. This is actually the best episode of Bad Batch, like I said already, or my personal favorite anyway. And without the heart at the end that's just so well brought to the forefront, you really don't get this. So I was really pleased with this. Oh, please, Dave Filoni, I'm really hoping you can give us more episodes like this. I think you are a tremendous creator. God, and Michelle Ang just did such good voice work for Omega here. I really loved it. She brought the dramatic out in her, and it was so good. All right, guys, I hope that this does play into an overarching story that we get for the rest of the season. But the question is, what did you guys think of these 2 episodes of the Bad Batch? Are they your favorite so far, or are they not? Why or why not? Let me know. And before I get out of here, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, share this with your friends, and hit the bell for notifications. That's always much appreciated. Once again, I am Don Martino, and I will talk to you guys later.